Good morning, Spiritual Life Center. Welcome to the SLC Sunday Experience, Faith in Action Week number 2. We're so glad you're here. Your soul is in the right place at the right time.
Just where you are meant to be, whether you're live streaming or you're here with us in person. So happy that we're all here. Let's sing about it. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm meant to be. In the right place. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh my soul is welcome here. Oh my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Good morning to those live streaming. You are in the right place at the right time.
My soul is welcome here.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh my soul is welcome here. Oh my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. Oh my soul is welcome. Oh my soul is welcome here. You know that your soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. I'm getting the message. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. Come on, put your hands together. My soul is welcome. You know that you're welcome. My soul is welcome here. Yes, Lord. My soul is welcome. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. Yeah. My soul is welcome. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Good morning, Spiritual Life Center.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is a nice, crisp morning this morning.
It is. My fingers are frozen. I'm Heather Estay, and this is Reverend James Trapp. And it is my privilege to greet you in the name of all that is sacred, all that is precious, all that is inclusive, and in the warm and loving spirit of this ministry, Spiritual Life Center. Some of you have been around forever. For some of you, you may be brand new. But whoever you are, however you got here, we know that you're not here by accident, but by
Divine appointment.
So thank you for keeping your appointment, and thank you also for double-checking your cell phones so they don't go off.
And as we've created that clearing by removing anything that's obstructing us from connecting to the presence, let's commune with this presence for a moment. And simply be still and know that the Spirit of the living God is in the midst of us. It is something that is beyond words, beyond description, but is more real than anything else. For all that we see comes from this one presence, this one power, this one reality. Among other things, it includes the realization that it is love itself. And we being made in the image and likeness, and we are also the expression of this divine love. And we are here to perfect that loving in our world. And as we do, that we begin to affirm our true identity. For our identity clause that we indeed are the light and the love that lighteth up every man and woman that cometh into the world. As we bring forth this energy, this dynamic, this truth, not only are we lifted up, but we begin to make a difference on how we uplift the very world in which we live. For this, we're grateful and thankful as we say so in the name and the nature of the Spirit of the living God. Amen.
Amen.
Just a reminder, today at 2 o'clock will be a memorial service for Margaret Stein here at Spiritual Life Center. Margaret was a licensed Unity teacher that was well known throughout the Sacramento Unity community, and so we invite you to be there to celebrate her life if you'd like to do that. And also, each week we've been affirming our basic principles of unity. In the event that someone asks, well, what does unity stand for? What do we believe in? We realize that we don't have doctrines or dogmas, but we do have overriding principles. And we can say the following: God is absolute good and everywhere present. People are inherently good. Thoughts create our experiences. Prayer and meditation are how we connect with God. We must take action.
And speaking of action, the gala that we had Friday night,
Had a lot of action in it.
How many had a really great time at the gala? Woohoo!
A gala good time.
Yeah, so those of you who didn't get to come this year, just notice how happy everybody is about it. But there are some people that we would really like to thank. There were so many people involved in this. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsors. If any of our sponsors are here, if you would stand and let us acknowledge you. There they are. Oh, these are our big sponsors. Oh, yeah, these are all our great sponsors. Yeah. Thank you so much. Couldn't happen without you. And also, all of our volunteers, we had people in the kitchen, we had people out in registration, we had people in the dining room, we had people all over the place volunteering. So if any of you are here, if you would please stand up.
Yes, anyone that gave of their sacred service.
Look at that.
Wow.
Look at that.
What a,
Oh, you're welcome.
yes,
And
yes.
one more group that I really, really have to thank. And that's something we're not always aware of, and that's the SLC staff. Because when something like this gets put on, an already stretched thin staff goes like, you know, they stretch really, really far and work really hard, whether they're working directly on that event or they're trying to cover everything else. So they deserve a huge round of applause for helping with this.
Yes. Well done, well done. Well, just a reminder, this Wednesday is our Wow Wednesday, and this Wednesday the program is Full Awakening, a golden opportunity with Stan Padilla. He's a Native American artist, an educator, as well as a man of knowledge. He's recently returned from a spiritual pilgrimage to Ladakh, India, where he was visiting and studying in Buddhist monasteries, and he's meditated in ancient caves as well as traditional learning centers, and he's going to offer a gentle walk and guided meditation on a fulfilling life. So you don't want to miss out on Stan Padilla this Wednesday at our WOW service.
And then this month we have a fifth Wednesday that's very special. It's Our Lady of the Lake musical group. It's the Lawson family, Michael, Lisa, Cameron, and Liam. You see them here every Sunday. They do Celtic music, and so there's going to be a wonderful musical experience, Celtic harp, lute, mandolin, and more. And that is October 30th. Soup is at 6 and programs at 7.
And for those who are interested in taking the Q process and want to queue up, there's another Q class coming that is really entitled Living with Nothing and No One Against You. And so you can join Elaine Laroa, who's the facilitator, and that's going to take place on Monday, October 28th from 9 a.m. to 4, Monday, yes, Monday?
Thursday?
It is a Monday, okay. Just make sure my eyes are not deceiving me. Okay, and from 9 to 4:30, and the debrief sessions are going to take place each Thursday starting November 7th and going on from the 14th and the 21st, and there are details in your bulletin if you'd like to know more about the experience.
And if you haven't done it yet, it's a really incredible, life-changing experience, so please consider it. So...
Oh, yes, ambassadors, board members, and chaplains that are here this morning, we invite you to please stand. And the ambassadors are wearing the rainbow ribbons, and they're here to just answer questions that you may have about Spiritual Life Center, direct you to where you need to go, and just to be a wonderful, hospitable force here at Spiritual Life Center. So they're wearing the rainbow ribbons, so we thank them for their presence. And any of the board members that are here today are here wearing purple ribbons over their name badges, and they're here to, as well as help shape and guide the community as a whole, and to help us with our strategy, and to bring their consciousness and skill set to help us continue to grow and unfold as a community. So we thank them for their presence this morning. And of course, our prayer chaplains do the very important work of holding prayer consciousness for the community as a whole. And they're also available to pray with you immediately after the service here in the sanctuary or in the courtyard. So we thank them, and they're wearing the white stoles this morning, so we thank them for their presence.
And now, if you're here for the very first time, in a minute I'm going to ask you to raise your hand. But we acknowledge that sometimes it's tricky to go into a new community, right? So we really want to give you ways that you can connect with this family that's so important to us. So we're going to offer you a card that the ushers will pass out. And if you fill that out with things you're interested in and who you are and try to make it legible, we'll help you connect with the community. You can also talk to the people that James just introduced.
So if you're here for the very first time, we just invite you to raise your hand. Any first timers here this morning? All right.
Everybody knows the secret handshake.
Okay.
Here we are. Okay.
Well, that means that, the new people are just us, because we're different than we were yesterday. So I invite you to greet a neighbor, a friend, and say, you are marvelous and glad you are here.
Stay standing. It's time to sing our Faith in Action song again. We had a little practice, had a chance to listen to it between last week and this week, right?
Yes.
So join us on the intro as well if you'd like to do the Oz.
Dearly divided, we are gathered here today, facing our challenges, our hopes and dreams, some broken, some departed. If you'll agree with me, consider this. Make a conscious choice to dwell in joy and dare to be delighted. The universe will rise to meet you, open and wholehearted.
On the how to list for happiness, so many have so much to say. To find your bliss, you have to deal with what gets in the way. You don't have to be a chameleon just to feel like you belong.
Please be seated.
Do something else. Well, as we know, each week we've been having our resident artists to present their artistic representation of the theme of the week. And this week we have two wonderful artists, Brenda Bowles and Gabriella Bargelini. And as they're coming forward, I'll first address what Brenda Bowles wrote about her work. Here's what she writes. Brene Brown says, in order to fully experience love and belonging, we must believe we are worthy, and we can only love others as much as we love ourselves. If there is shame, we do not believe in our worth, so we cannot fully experience love at its fullest. Shame is an intensely painful feeling or belief that we are flawed, therefore unworthy. We think people will think less of us if they knew about our past, a mistake, background, or even body image, childhood experience, money, sex, or whatever. Truth is, nobody cares as much about us as we do, about our past, our mistakes, or anything. Get over it. Release that shame, and it gets you nowhere. So this painting shows a woman behind the large face. This is a woman in shame, red-faced and embarrassed. As we move on and release our shame, a fuller, happier person can emerge. This woman now knows her worth and is healed of shame. She now is happy, is free, and is fully experiencing love and belonging, something we all deserve and want. So that is the work of Brenda Bowles for this week. And now we have Gabriella Bargelini. I just love saying your name. And her painting, and this is what she writes about her work. The wheel of life came to me in meditation after having taken into my heart words of Brene Brown. No matter the circumstances, life goes on. Neither shame nor guilt will stop the wheel from moving onward. We must take action, being grateful all the way. So that's the work for this week. Gabrielle Bargelini. Thank you.
Beautiful. So at this time, we're going to speak our affirmation for the week. Let's do that together. I cultivate my sense of belonging by releasing my need to fit in. I am worthy. I am love in action. Amen. Now let's read our vision statement together. Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions, weaving ancient spiritual traditions with emerging wisdom. We cultivate a spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet. And now in preparation for meditation, all is as it should be.
All is as it should be. I mirror you, you mirror me, and all the pain and struggling
take a nice deep breath. Let it go. And then just relax into your breath. Let your shoulders drop. Let the tension just dissolve and drain out of your body. Relax your eyelids. Let your natural breathing take you deeper and deeper into relaxation. And allow yourself to drift into a light daydream. In this daydream, there's a very small circle on the ground just right in front of you. And next to it is a brightly lettered sign that says Circle of Belonging, come on in. But the circle seems way too small. It's more like a dot. But as you pick up your foot and move toward the circle, it expands. And as you bring your other foot in, the circle expands again. And it begins to glow a soft orange. And the light begins to rise around you until you are encircled in a cylinder of orange light. And you feel the energy of the circle pulsating through your being. It is warm. It is comforting. It is healing. And in this moment, your heart opens and you think of other people that you would like to bring into your circle to share this experience with. But you worry that the circle is too small and that no one else will fit in. In fact, you barely fit into the circle yourself. But then you remember, the circle was just a small dot when you stepped into it. And now it contains all of you. As an experiment, you think of 2 people that you would love to share this moment with. And you invite them in. Immediately, the circle expands to accommodate these 2 very precious people. And as the circle expands, so does the energy of the light surrounding you. It pulses and sends waves of joy through each one of you, and you are one in the divine energy. And so you extend your invitation to other people who mean something to you. And each time the circle expands to include them. With each addition to the circle, the energies become more and more refined, and your hearts join in the communion with each other and with Spirit. You feel so connected, yet so free. And now you know that it is time to invite anyone with whom you struggle into the circle as well. And so you take a breath and invite them in. Again, the circle expands. The orange light, polished by the sun, swirls around all of you in a dance of pure love. It waltzes through your minds, your bodies, your spirits. And now you open the circle to all people everywhere. It expands beyond your vision in all directions. You are surrounded by love and compassion. Within this circle, there is complete acceptance. You belong here. Immerse yourself in this belonging
in the silence. You feel connected and content. You realize that you never had to fit into that circle. You didn't have to work at it. It simply accepted you as you are. It accepted everyone or thing you invited in. You are simply part of the whole. As you take a breath now and begin your journey back to your body in this room, please receive this blessing. Oh, my beloved, you have every right to be here. You are not required to be someone else to fit into this life. You are worthy in all ways, at all times. Everything you have to offer is a blessing to someone, somewhere. With this knowing, you can free your mind, free your heart, and learn to fly. Remember this, always.
We are man and woman, we are black and white, we are the spaces in between us, we are wrong and right, we are so much more than what we can see, and we're following our longing. We are tough and tender, we are brave and afraid, we are scared and excited, we are grit and grace, we are standing together, we are standing alone, and we're searching for belonging. Strong back, soft front, we're walking the wilderness. Strong back, soft front, wild heart. Wild heart. When I find myself living in that high lonesome sound, trying to fit in the middle of the crowd, I'm a solitary dreamer on the outside looking in, and I'm following my longing. Well, it takes a lot of courage to finally leave home and go out beyond the boundaries of the safety we know. But we take our better angels everywhere we go when we're searching for belonging. Strong back, soft front, and offer you the connection I crave. 'Cause when I stand in my soul, I can sing you my song, and I know that that's my true belonging. Strong back, soft front, we're walking the wilderness. Strong back, soft front, wild heart. Strong back, soft front, we're walking the wilderness. Strong back, soft front, wild heart, wild heart, wild heart, wild heart.
Thank you, Anne and Larry. I want to share a little story with you about that song. Earlier this year, J.D. Martin and Jan Garrett, some of my favorite New Thought songwriters and great people, they sent me their new CD, and this song was on it. And so when I was planning the music for today, I looked on their online web store. They didn't have it available, so I emailed them and asked for it. They graciously shared the chart with me, and I shared with them in my inquiry about that, our faith in action, and we're working with Brene Brown. And Jan emailed me back and said, "Did you know that song was inspired by Brene Brown?" A book, a different book called Braving the Wilderness. So, Brene Brown. Yes.
She's everywhere. Thank you. I remember I was going through my own wilderness experience many years ago. And I remember it was a Tuesday night. I remember it was a Tuesday night because I was in this group. And it was a reality group, they called it. Sort of reality therapy. And it was being facilitated by a gentleman by the name of Ralph Malloy. He was a brilliant psychologist, but he had gone through his own experiences in life. And I looked up to him tremendously. You know, he was an individual who got kicked out of Harvard along with Timothy Leary years ago for, experimenting with LSD. And after he got out, he, ended up getting addicted to heroin, and his life really went kaput. And then he overcame all of that. And he ended up getting 2 doctorates, and he used to be the therapist for the Stars, down in South Florida. And he happened to come to this community I was at as a way for his own outreach, of giving back. And I remember the room was dim with one lamp, and, I think it kind of created an ambiance so that you would be open to sharing. And I was sharing my story. And I was sharing about how early in my life, my mother disappeared. And I was sharing that it was always something that I was always striving for outside of me, doing well in school and then going to a wonderful college and then getting a great job and not feeling satisfied with that. Then when you don't feel satisfied with that, you decide, hey, I don't know what to do, so I'll go to law school. That's what we did back then. Don't know what to do, you go to law school. Yeah. So I went to law school and came back and eventually worked for a small firm doing some criminal defense work. And, we did well, but there was still that sense of dissatisfaction. I didn't feel fulfilled at all. But what I remember about that night, Ralph would often give us a question. He would never tell us what to do. And while I was giving my story, he would just drop this question on me. And he said, have you ever considered that you were abandoned? Now, looking back, that was kind of like a Captain Obvious experience. But what it was at that moment, I didn't really want to acknowledge that. I didn't want to affirm that. I didn't want to appreciate that or say it out loud because of the shame that I associated with having that experience. But it changed me tremendously because I realized later on that, no matter what has happened, no matter what another person has done or what I think they've not done, it has nothing to do with me, but it is part of my story. And I know when he gave me that question, I thought about it for an entire week. He would pose those kind of questions to us when we began to share. Just something that would just be on your mind, and he would move on to something else. But he knew it was going to be in your mind the whole week. Anyway, I think I internalized the belief because of that experience that I didn't want to face that there was something wrong with me. That somehow I was trying to get satisfaction within me by going to get things outside of me to fill me up. I didn't feel the sense of worthiness that was inherently there. But of course, whenever we try to get any kind of satisfaction outside of us, we cannot get it because what follows is dissatisfaction. Well, Brene Brown, in her Gifts of Imperfection, as we continue on our Faith in Action series, talk about the hustle for worthiness. And she says that one of the greatest challenges for most of us is believing that we are worthy now. Not if, not when, but right now as is, full stop. Amen. And she says this is the essence of wholehearted living. Engaging in life as a place of worthiness no matter what. That means we have to accept who we are completely, the good, the not so good, and all that's in between. And if we don't accept ourselves wholeheartedly, we'll end up looking outside of ourselves to give us something that we cannot get from the outside. I remember reading an article in a magazine, I think it was New York Times, about a group of Harvard Business School graduates that had come to their 15th year reunion. And 15 years earlier, they were, living, with the vision of abundance for their life. Because the ideal days were right in front of them. And all of them, by objective standards, as he was talking about these individuals, had achieved remarkable material success. They had privilege that was seen by very few in the world. They were the financial elite who wanted for nothing, but there was something that was missing. There was some sort of internal worthiness and happiness that they did not have. They didn't have that sense of fulfillment. And the article indicated that some of them were actually outright miserable because they compared themselves to others. They talked about some promotions that they did not get, the lack of connection to their children due to spending so much time on their work, despite some of them making income of over $1 million. And they endured the daily stress of working with people they could not stand. In fact, they said that one person thought they were wasting their life despite the accumulation of all their wealth. Their life was devoid of some sort of meaning. And that because what inevitably follows temporary satisfaction for those outside things, if we make that our crutch that we lean on, will be that dissatisfaction and the belief that I am not worthy, that I am not enough. I think what we want to catch is that there's a natural self-worth. There's a natural ecstasy that's alive, that's within us simply for being alive. There's a natural joy and happiness that comes from understanding our divine origin, our spiritual roots, where we're coming from spiritually. And when we're not touching that, we often become indoctrinated into believing that there's a materialistic way of looking at life, that we seek to get ecstasy from that, get satisfaction from that, get worthiness from that. When in fact, we realize that sometimes individuals have been indoctrinated into that materialistic way of life. They begin sinning. They seek ecstasy. They seek worthiness in things outside of themselves that only leads to addiction. There's a story in the New Testament where Jesus is talking about the woman at the well. And he said something to her that kind of reminds me of what this is all about. He said, whoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. He's talking about the material things, but whoever drinketh of the water that I give you shall never thirst. He's talking about that eternal something that we always can turn to regardless. I think because whenever we get a semblance of what I call that counterfeit joy, that counterfeit sense of fulfillment in the external world, we keep going to that place over and over again. Maybe I'm speaking to myself. And we're nothing more than in bondage. You know, Emily Cady in her book, Lessons in Truth, he said, every person believes that they're in bondage to the flesh, to the temporary, to the outside. All suffering is a result of this belief. So a sense of worthiness stems from the belief as well from this understanding. Because we may go back to try to get that initial glow, that first sense of infatuation, and as soon as it's gone, we try to find it somewhere else. We try to find it in a lot of things, you know, whether it's food, whether it's relations, whether it's driving too fast. I do that sometimes. That's probably why I got those 2 tickets. Within a week of each other. Anyway, I talked myself out of the second one. Whether it's adrenaline rushing, we go to those things. But there's an inner ecstasy, an inner glow that comes when we realize that God has already provided something that fulfills us right from the start. We want to come from that space where we recognize our inherent worthiness. And we can begin to activate that inherent worthiness by treating ourselves well, by loving ourselves. You know, in her book, Brene posed the question whether we can love another greater than we can love ourselves. And there was a debate back and forth in that part of the text. I think she came down. I don't know where she came. I can't remember now. I read it. But I think where I land is that in some way we can never go beyond how we love ourselves. There's something that's holding us back from going to that next level. I think in any event, in order to affirm our worthiness, we must treat ourselves well first and foremost. You know, we know there's a rule that simply says treat yourself as you would like others to treat you. Treat yourself as you want the universe to respond to you. I think to do that, we must open ourselves up to accept the good that is already here, all around us, that we sometimes overlook. Yeah, it's not, I like to say, I've said before, we want to think of ourselves as being on a training program. Because we train the universe, we train others how we treat ourselves. And to the degree we treat ourselves with excellence, with exquisiteness, with loveliness, with compassionate hands, that will respond to us in kind will come from the outside. Because we must understand that inherently God did not make junk, God did not make mistakes, God did not create anything accidentally. Who you are and what we are is the absolute best that God has to offer as far as this universe is concerned. And I often believe that some of the belief of unworthiness comes from what I call religious abuse. You know, I don't know, there's some people who believe that somehow, some way that we're born sinners. You know, people actually have accepted that. You know, I always believe that started with some hard-headed, hard of hearing theologian that actually thought he heard that we were sinners in the eyes of God, when in fact what was said is that we are centers in the mind of God. They got it misunderstood somewhere along the way. But we start by treating ourselves well. And we're not talking about pampering our ego, but talking and taking compassionate hands with ourselves and beginning to take time with ourselves, talk to ourselves nicely, encourage ourselves, love ourselves. You know, even when we get income come in, pay ourselves first. Sometimes I just like to kick back in a bath and just to put the bubbles in there and just enjoy the experience. Just be fully present to just the simple things in life. We have to have our regular scheduled appointment with God. Because I believe it's literally impossible to accept the goodness or what we call ever-expanding good unless we give ourselves that same thing. We can't take care of ourselves. We can't expect anyone else to do the same. That would be for the universe to act unlawfully. But the universe always acts lawfully, responding lawfully to the nature of the song within us. So we never want to say, I don't have enough time. If we say, I don't have enough time, we're moving through the world scattered and tattered, and, you know, because we're training the universe to respond to us as a scattered, tattered individual, a lackluster individual, and it'll increase. It's lawful, this universe. You know, if we say, I don't have enough time to take care of myself, the universe always answers our prayers. And it'll say, well, if you don't have enough time to take care of yourself, well, neither do I. neither do I. So we want to train the universe and train others by how we treat ourselves. But it also includes how we think about ourselves. How do we talk to ourselves? I think I read somewhere that we have between 25,000 and 50,000 thoughts a day. Some of them are good, some of them not so good. Luckily, not all the thoughts that, I have actually come true. That would not be good. I think it's not possible to have too many good thoughts. But too many negative thoughts, they can wreak havoc on our life. They can wreak havoc on our self-worth. Perhaps you may have said to yourself at times, I can't do that. I don't have enough talent for that. That's way too difficult to me. If I try to do that, I'm just going to screw that up. Or when we're about to do something new and outside our comfort zone, that little voice will come along and say to us, who do you think you are? And if we look at those thoughts from an unbiased perspective, we would think it would be coming from a cruel, tyrannical person that's trying to destroy our own self-worth, our own self-confidence. But it comes within our own minds. Sometimes we do have those self-defeating thoughts, and it rears its ugly head from time to time, but there's a speaker named Melanie Robbins who said these words that said that we will not get to where we want to if we continue to cheer against ourselves. Sometimes we go against our self-interest. We do it in subtle ways and, maybe diminishing the compliments that we receive from other people. I know sometimes I do that, deflecting it. Somebody might say, you look wonderful in that. And you say, this old thing, I got it in the back of the closet, it ain't no big deal. We're deflecting and diminishing our own value. I think as I've shared once before, when I was in Ghana, West Africa, when someone was complimented, they would not deflect it in any way, shape, or form. They said, you look great in that dress. And they would say, it's true, thank you. It's true, thank you. They wouldn't say it in a bragging way, but it was a sense that they were worthy. As if they knew their divine origin, that they came from divine stuff. And as such, they were inherently worthy, and they were fully accepting the compliment. So if somebody says that to you, you don't have to say it out loud. You can say, it's true, maybe inside your mind, thank you. Because that's one way we can affirm ourselves. I think when we accept self-love and accept ourselves, our worthiness, and we do it accepting who we are totally, we don't have to fit in to be accepted. Brene Brown talks about the difference between fitting in and belonging. Sometimes we fit in, try to change who we are in order to be accepted by other people. But I really believe that we're here to be ourselves totally and completely. If in fact we're not merely here to conform to the world, we're here to be who we are, and the world will adapt accordingly. We bring who we are, and it begins to conform to who we are. And I think when we accept our inherent worthiness, we are not concerned about what other people think or how they describe us. We affirm our inherent worth when we realize we can describe ourselves. So we don't want to deny any parts of our story that we don't like. We're not begging or beseeching a condition to change. Even our so-called imperfections can wake us up when we say in substance, we can say, regardless of what we've gone through, today my life is going to unfold in a magnificent way. I'm going to meet the right people. I need to meet the right people to fulfill the purpose of my life. I'm going to go out today and everything's going to work together for my good because I'm worth it. We get to lay down a description because, we don't describe what we see. We see what we describe. Let's describe it first and then we'll conform to that. And nobody else's description matters. So we want to understand that there's nothing missing in us. There's nothing inherently wrong with us. There is no original sin. There's only original blessings that we've all come here with. But here's the deal. Sometimes on our computer screens, I don't know if you have this notice that says, upgrade ready. You got an upgrade for you. And it says, are you ready for your upgrade? Are you ready to upgrade and accept your whole self? I think it's saying. You've seen those notices, and Sometimes it's not convenient to do the upgrade at that moment. There's a new upgrade, and it's asking, are you ready to receive it? And we might be saying in our way, shape, or form, not now. I'm just going to continue to beat myself up and proclaim I'm not good enough. Well, we live in a progressive universe. And it's sending us messages that say, you've always been good enough, every day. And we're being asked in so many words, do you want to go deeper? We were being asked, do you want to expand your consciousness? Do you want to activate the gifts and talents within you? Do you want to receive more? Do you want to give more? Do you want to know that you are good enough? Do you want to upgrade now, or do you want to upgrade later? This is happening when we choose to accept it. And we give our entire self over to our story and accept everything that's in it and know that it's okay. And when we do, we grow. We expand. We express who we really are. So we ask, are you ready to grow? Are you ready to expand? Yes. You heard a little small yes back there? So I'm going to ask it again. Are you ready to grow? Yes. Are you ready to expand? Yes. It might be a little inconvenient. Because we've been saying maybe I'm not good enough and I'm going to go out and prove it. But we might have to change a few habits. We might have to release some points of view. But we want our upgrade now. Now. And so we affirm to ourselves, I want my spiritual upgrade. I'm willing to accept my spiritual upgrade now. I'm willing to embrace who I am in total now. 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 We accept it. We affirm it because we're worth it. So it is. So it is. And let's see what we're going to talk about next week. Somewhere along the line, I had, what's it? It's on the slide. Faith in Action, October 20th, week 3, yellow. The audacity of authenticity. Okay, that's going to be good. I know it's going to be good. I'm going to affirm it because it's worth it. I just invite you to take your gifts, your tithes, your love offerings. And we're going to get into the flow of divine giving from a consciousness of absolute worthiness, recognizing that whatever we give out, somehow the universe gives back to us in ways that we never imagined. It'll support this community for those who are on their way for their own transformation and support, as well as the opportunity for us as a community to support others who are transforming their lives. So together, let's say our offertory blessing together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God.
I'm not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say no one will love you as you are. But won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna stand and flat, I'm gonna drown them out. I am braced, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching up to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. around us. I know that there's a place for us. For we are glorious. When the sharpest word's gonna cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown him out. I am raised, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. Oh, 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 this is me. And I know that I deserve love. 'Cause there's nothing when the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, I'm gonna drown them out. This is brave, this is bruised, this is who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. Marching on, marching on. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. Wherever the fire this is me.
I think that says it all. This is me. Always will be me. Never be anything else but me. We bless these tithes and offerings, knowing going to bless the givers and receivers as we go forth, expressing and living the realization that we are worthy as children of the Most High. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. Let's join together and sing our peace song. Now let us join in and deepen that consciousness as we say together our prayer for protection. The light of God